Umbrella should be coming in shortly. So again, Paris, you saw the presentation yesterday. I'm changing Paris studio quite a bit. That exploration of the city, kind of tours and things like that, still don't happen. The project is going to be different. We're actually going to be looking at three things in Paris now. We're going to be looking at nodes, at corridors, and at places. So it's going to be about a collection of smaller projects that are going to happen, and then we're going to bring it all together. So I'm really heavy on, that, and also kind of a bit, now that Doug is not here, I'm a bit radical. I'm still urban design, I'm an urbanist, so he's probably going to watch the recording. But he's good. Look at him there. Told you that's good. Some of it kind of urbanism, some of it radical when it comes to that. So we're going to change the way that we see Paris, we look at Paris. We're going to be doing a lot of comparison. I can show you in the video, and I can actually show you again. So okay, we're going to go to Paris. This is kind of the city, and all those that highlighted yellow are the major buildings that you'll see. That's the Louvre right here. And for the Louvre, this is Place de la Concorde, and then that's the Champs-Élysées, and then that's the Triumphal Arch, and then all the way to the other side of the river, which you don't see on this map, it's La Défense, which is the Grand Arch. We're actually staying down here. Okay, that's a really nice park that you'll be staying right across from it. Actually, the station, the station that you escape is actually right here in that corner, and it's a minute walk from where you stay. And that park is really nice. One thing you'll see is that Parisians do like to go to the park and actually sit and drink some wine and some food and things like that. And they actually do go on camping, and sometimes you wonder, how long the Parisians actually work, because they spend more time in the parks there than anywhere else. But we're going to work hard in this video, so you still get to explore that whole city in essence. These are kind of some of the things that we're going to be looking at, how to imagine the city is going to be really important. We're going to be looking at all the layers. One of the layers that we're going to be looking at is the metro. You're going to be using the metro every day. You're going to get a card, and you can sweep the card in and out as many times as you want during the day, and go pretty much all over the city with it. So that's kind of the fun part of it. And we're going to be looking all the way from the networks of the metro, which we're going to go to Charlotte de Gaulle, which is the largest station in Europe. And the first time it's going to be a little bit intimidating because it's like people are just walking all over it. And then by the third week or even second week, you know the place like the back of your hand. You even know which cart to get into, so that when you leave, when you exit the platform, you can get out faster. So, and it's kind of a fun experience because you don't get to actually compete with the Parisians, and then you just pushing yourself. I want to get in too. Like at first you're racing it, but then you're pushing it. So we're going to be looking at this. I love this diagram in the sense that it starts to look at new events that can happen within the city, and that's really important for what we're going to be doing. Right? Again, this idea of nodes, corridors, and places is what the study is going to be about. So we're going to be looking at a node and what a node is, and we're going to be designing a node. In this case, the node is going to be a station, right? Small kind of metro station that allows that person to actually activate the underneath of Paris, but also the surface of Paris. And stations that are very different from a lot of the American stations, like in New York or other cities, is that they're really active places. You go down there and there's shops, and there's kind of these small little kiosks that you can buy things. So it's really interesting. So we're going to be looking at nodes. Then at corridors. Again, we can't forget this long Haussmann corridors that the city of Paris has. So we're going to be looking at that. Of course, not at that scale. We're going to be looking at a smaller scale. And then at places, right? Again, going back to this idea of parks and a place, we're going to be looking at that and how that activates the city. And we're going to be visiting quite a few of them. Your project actually happens right in here. That's your project. The site, Saint-Denis Gate. It's right there, which is it's an Asian Gothic or Renaissance. Saint-Denis, yes, right. Gate. It's a pretty important gate for the city, and we're going to be engaging that right now. And when you go to that place, you have already enough knowledge. If you look at that, you can do so much more with it. The best part about this studio is that we're going to be carving from the city. So there's really not, it's very radical in the sense that you're just going to be moved all scenes as much as you kind of need. Right? Of course, Eiffel Tower. You're going to get to see the Eiffel Tower as many times as you want. You can you can sit on the Champs-Élysées, Champ de Mars, and every day around 7 the lights twinkle. Right, so there's that, and for the most part, every summer when we go, there's always some sort of football, soccer match happening, and there's huge screens in there. You can go in, it's kind of gathering, right? Which we're going to be actually looking at those gatherings that the city does, and actually almost in the sense that you have to go, not necessarily just because you want to be part of it, but I want you to actually experience what those places become. So we're going to be looking at not just, so yes, I'm actually making you go to some of these events so that you actually see how the city works. Right? And you're going to be taking notes of that, and take pictures, things like that. That's really important for Paris. Right? The Louvre, the museum, we're going to go on a guided tour, which is great because we actually have faster access. If not, the line is pretty long sometimes. That's the inside of the Louvre pyramid. Notre Dame Cathedral, we're going to walk in there, and the first time you see it, it's going to be like kind of moment. It's great cathedral in the middle of an island. And right across from it is going to be one of the greatest, this is the inside aspect of it, but when you see it with people, right now you don't see the scale, but when you actually start to look at it with people, it's like, wow, this is like bigger than I thought. Arc de Triomphe, of course, you can all go all the way up there, and you can take those great images of the boulevards. Right? And the way that you get in, you don't cross the street to get into here, right? It's like there's just this huge kind of roundabout. So you have to go underneath it and go underneath and you come out and you're here and you face with this great art. It's a great kind of experience to go into it, and down the road that way, it's Champs-Élysées, which of course has all those great stores that you can go and see, but maybe not buy anything. Or at least don't buy at the beginning of the program, buy at the end of the program just in case. The French Pantheon is a great building. We're going to go in there. Actually, the space in front of it is really nice. The plaza in front of it. And that's going to be one of our sites that we look at and actually talk about. Right? Because down this street is Jardin de Luxembourg, which is one of the great gardens in the city. And we're going to see how that corridor is actually activated. Right? There's restaurants, there's kind of little offices. Opera Garnier, we're going to go here and see a ballet, which is just the experience of going into it. This is the hall that you kind of, you can go and get some champagne in the middle, in the atrium, and drink it and take beautiful pictures. You can actually go out to the balcony up here and see, again, this great boulevard that goes down from here. The Ritz, I think it's close by. Which, if you go to Paris, I'll give you a little tip about the Ritz. I'll keep that as a surprise. We're going to go to Sacré-Cœur, which is kind of a mountain in Paris. And the thing about this is that you can start to take in the views. Right? It's really up high. It's really nice. But you're going to get to see Paris from a different point of view. That a lot of this kind of, when you're in either the Eiffel Tower or Tower Montparnasse, which is the only skyscraper in the city, you get a different experience. When you go out here, so you're kind of on the outside, so you actually get to see how the city is actually laid out, which is very nice. This is Napoleon Saloon. You look small here, but you're about this high. I knew it was a very short guy, but I didn't want everything to be enormous. And he's actually there right underneath this. So, where you'll be able to go inside and see the places. And then this is one of my favorite buildings in Ile de la Cité, which is that little island in the middle, Saint-Chapelle, right across from Notre Dame here. I'm going to be going in there and taking a look at this place. It's kind of incredible. When the light hits it, it's really, really nice to see it. Centre Pompidou. I have a love and hate relationship with the building. I love what he did for the city in this place, but then it's like, sure, I guess, But you're going to see, this is Jardin de Luxembourg. If you actually walk down this way, it's the Pantheon. Or you're going to walk down there. And you get to see that, actually, a lot of people come in here on the pond and they compete with boats, remote boats. If you have a chance, you can actually rent a few of them and have a little race. Right there in the middle. Of course, Parc de la Villette and Bernard Shoes follows. We'll take a look at those and then analyze them. I think that's the underpinning of what we're going to be doing for a third of the studio is analyzing the public spaces. So it's about being in the city. You're really going to get to experience the city, and we're going to walk a lot. To take comfortable shoes, but you're going to be in the city. That's one of the things I want you to do, is be in the city. You're not going to be in your dorms, although you do have your own bedroom, your own bathroom, right? I'll go and knock on your door if I have to, so that you can get out and leave. We're going to be in the city a lot. We're going to be walking a lot, taking pictures and diagramming and analyzing. This is that park that I was telling you that you live right across from. So again, you can get to experience all this again. We're down there. The Cité, it's a complex of quite a few buildings, 42 in total. This is the main building. The picture was taken from this way. Actually, the station is right here, the metro station. So you just walk right off. And we're going to be staying in number 10, so it's pretty close. Right here. That's the RERE line. So you just go down there, and that takes you everywhere. That's the main building. There's a cafeteria on one side, there's a library on the other. There's number 8 and number 35 are the corpse buildings. The Brazilian house and the Swiss house, respectively. We're going to walk around. Actually, the grounds are very nice in this place. And it's very safe from this area. So much that you actually have to have your own car to get into it at night. Right? So you shouldn't worry about any kind of safety. In Paris, as long as you don't go to the shady places, it's pretty safe. You can be out. As long as you're in your group, just for security, you'll be fine. Again, we're going to be staying in the Canadian house. This is the space that we're going to be using kind of as review space. It has these great windows, very nice lit space. That's the lobby, the space that I was talking about is right next to it. There's a door in here. These are kind of your bedrooms, and then your bathrooms are behind kind of the wall. And they all kind of have a window that faces either the street or the gardens in the back. Again, you have kind of balconies and kitchens on every floor. There's also a study area, a library that will take over, and that's where you will be working quite a bit, to the point that they realize that all of you are working in this space, and they're like, all right, I'll go somewhere else. So allow you to do your work. My son Austin Font, did anybody drew this building for my 14-12? I know somebody did, but this is right around the maybe 5-minute walk from it. And the way we get to it is pretty nice, and we get to experience that picturesque moment that you see this building. And things like this, we're going to compare it to more modern, more diagonal buildings. That's the station that's right across the street that I was mentioning. That's the metro. We're down here. That's the brand new station. This whole area was revitalized by this station, and then this is Centre Pompidou back here. That's the same. That's Notre Dame Cathedral over there. Saint-Chapelle is
It's in the center.
right here.
Does that not have a pointer on it, Dave?
I'm sure you can
Right.
And we're going to be staying kind of south here. South, that's south. Right, that's, yeah, south. And then if you go down this way, you'll see the Statue of Liberty. That the Americans actually do French. It's right about in the corner. This is a great space. I got to see it when they were getting built, when it was getting built. So it really goes down quite a few, and then the station is down there. And this connects, so we go back to the map. Another map coming up. Let's go back here. There. Where's Chalet Halls? And Chalet is like right in here. And that connects all of, there's 3 stations, Chalet, Les Halles, and Chalet Les Halles. And that's the whole connection. It's a pretty big station. And then that one kind of goes under the river and connects to Saint-Denis, which is the station right, Notre Dame, and what's the street?
Saint-Michel.
Saint-Michel. Saint-Michel, Notre Dame, that station is going to be the one that you use the most, I think.
Yes.
That's the one that you go everywhere.
It's only two
stops.
from the Golden Pole.
Yeah.
So in 10 minutes you'll be right at Notre Dame. And in 12 minutes you'll be here, which is the center. East-west lines pass through here and connections to the other metro stops. And when you're in Paris, you're never more than 2,000 feet away from a metro stop. So, like real Parisians, you'll be learning your daily trips will always include the metro.
It gets to the point that I've heard some students that, again, it's one of the more complex metro systems in Europe. You know, like Rome has only like north and south and east and west. And Germany only has like 4 or 5. It's like, how can, you know, there's games that people play, it's like, study abroad students that it's like, let's take this route and see where it takes us. And it's like, all right, we just walk around, it's like, there's another station, like, let's go down and take it, and then let's move on to the next one, right? You won't get lost, that's the thing. Once you, the first week, you're gonna get to experience the city, but trust me, you get to the point that you don't get lost, because all you do is you go down the metro, right, you scan your card, and then you look at a map, and you're like, I'm here, and I need to get here, and then you just take it. It's not an issue. Centre Pompidou again. I'm really excited about this building. It's one of the great buildings in France, in Paris. And we're going to get to see kind of how it sits on the site and things like that. But then we're going to compare it to kind of line architects, right? This is the idea of this common spaces behind the buildings are pretty nice. Again, I haven't been into this building, but we've all kind of seen it. Dr. Ellis has been twice actually. And just by pictures, right? It's this incredible. And we're going to get to actually see a performance in here, right? A symphony, right?
Symphony.
Yes.
Do you know what the program is yet? That will be seen?
No, we won't know that until probably.
Because the 2017 hasn't started yet.
Yeah. They'll open their ticket season in the June.
Right.
So
So we're going to get to see. I heard that its acoustics are incredible.
there, I've never had better experience at
Yeah.
performance hall. It's incredible.
So, you know, this is kind of a treat, especially that, you know, like this is a rendering of the building, but if you actually see this massive piece, it's great. So we're going to get to actually experience the space. This is a memorial right off in the Ile de la Cité, which is an island in the middle, where it's right behind the Notre Dame Cathedral. We're going to go in here and take a look at the diaphragm. You've all seen this building, right, where the diaphragms open and close with the light of the sun. So it's kind of a very, if you haven't seen that, look at it. Look at it. pretty neat, right? These things are like about 1 story high, so the person is just standing right here. And these are like diaphragms and open and close every time the light hits it. So it's kind of what's the word?
Biometric.
It's almost biometric in the sense that it's not controlled by a machine, but it's controlled by the light that's hitting it. So
This is the first building that used that kind of technology. And it led the way for other buildings that are environmentally responsive. This responds to the sun. So not all of these will be closed or open.
yeah.
At the same time, it depends on, look at that right
And you
next
can
to
see
it.
that and then it closed. It's not by a machine or anything. It's just responsive. Like the building responsive.
Is it like a pupil of an eye?
Yes,
Something like that.
exactly.
Yes, exactly. Right.
And then Zaha Hadid has some stuff in the report.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to get to see this building, and you'll see it quite a bit actually when we go through it. If you take line 2, line 2 is the only line that goes above ground, and actually goes above the river. We'll get to see that design institute. The library also, you'll get to see it both from the street side and also from the kind of water edge. The Cinematheque by Frank Gehry will be one of the buildings. This is one of the buildings I'm really excited to take a look at because it's one of the buildings that in general it activates the street. Right? We're going to get right close to it and see what it does and how there's a garden in between the building. Like the building is recessed back, but really the building is not. It's kind of this, until you don't see it and experience it, you really don't know what it does. And then when you actually see it, it's kind of a neat thing about this building, right? And how it activates the street, the pedestrian edge, which is very different in Paris, and you're going to see that. It's very different from the vehicular edge. And we're going to be talking about edge conditions and how they different. That's part of your project as well, where to change in the materials and how the materials affect that and how the speed of things. Right? We have the really fast speed of the metro lines that go underneath the ground and the speed of the cars and then the speed of pedestrians, right? So all those things that we're going to be kind of looking at and analyzing. This is Montparnasse. A lot of French, well, not a lot, most French people
We all did it.
don't like this building because it's the only thing that is taller than the Eiffel Tower or as tall as the Eiffel Tower.
Not tall.
Right. The great thing about us, though, for us, is that you get incredible views from this place. So, you go out there and you'll spend hours, like doing these long exposure shoots, and like this is an image taken from there, and you can see that you're in the middle of the city. Literally, the city surrounds the building, so you get to see this, especially if you go to dawn, and you can go out there and you can see as long as you want. This has like a viewing platform. And he has these incredible views. But again, this is Invalides. Right here. No.
Yeah.
That's Invalides, yeah. Eiffel Tower. That's the Champ de Mars. That you call over there.
Just another word about Montparnasse. It was a redevelopment over an existing train station. So they tore the existing train station down, which is a wonderful late 19th century building, and they built this tower and a long esplanade that goes to
Podium
this,
kind of thing.
yeah, pardon?
Podium.
Yeah. And that'll be a space to look at to see.
Because actually, although again, I'm kind of saying the building is great because we can get these great images of the city, the space doesn't really work. Right? And we're going to get to see why it doesn't work. And actually, Parisians will tell you in very flamboyant language why they don't like this building, right? And why they don't like the actual station underneath it. Because it doesn't work. And it's a great thing that you get to see this. Because you're going to go to Chalet Les Halles and you're going to see how it works. And you perhaps don't know where you're at, but you can walk around the whole city, the whole kind of metro station, and you won't get lost. The moment you get into here, it's like, there's stairs going up, down. It's like, so we're going to compare the two, which is really important. I really don't know what this building is, though.
It's a companion to that one, but I don't know if
It's an office building, yeah.
But this was done in the late 70s. It was going to be part of the grand projects through Paris. but they, once it was built, they decided that no other tall buildings would be built within the original city that we've seen, and everything moved out to La Défense, which is coming up.
Yeah.
The big development, new development.
This is Champ de Mars. That's this building right here. Is that building right there? This is also a brand new museum that we're going to look at, and it uses again that green facade. That actually Paris is going into more and more of this environmental idea behind it, and they are using it kind of very nicely. Sometimes a lot of people use it, this kind of lead idea in a more just technology sake. In this case, it's really about kind of the design, and we're going to look at the interior courtyard here. This is one of my favorite parts. It's very much about the rigidity of the diagram and how it fits within the city. This pavilion right here is actually used every year by Louis Vuitton to have their fashion shows. Right. You've all seen this building, and if you haven't, you get to see it. It's one of the greatest kind of decor buildings. Again, the Pyramid of the Louvre. We're going to go here, which is a train station by Gustave Eiffel, and it's all casted iron. Right, so it's not used as a station anymore, so it was kind of redeveloped to be a museum, and you're going to get to see these impressionist artworks that you've seen in books. You're going to get to see it firsthand, and we're going to have a tour, which is it's a very good tour of this place. I'm always excited to go here, actually. The Tuileries, the Louvre Museum, this is part of the Louvre, it's facing this way, and then the Tuileries Gardens is what starts kind of the beginning of that main corridor of Paris. Place de la Concorde, and then the Champs-Élysées right there. The Louis Vuitton store, it's actually in this corner there. Let me see. No, it's actually,
I think this one. I think it's just
right
in
there.
front.
Yeah, it's this building. But you'll get to see all the stores. Last year, when I was there last time, Ferrari had this store, and it's actually next to those car enthusiasts, which I am. And it had this kind of great collection of cars, and or Cadillac has like this great collections of cars that they put in there, and it's free to go. And again, you're going to get to see how this space actually works. Right? You have the pollard trees, and then you have the main big street, and then you have pedestrian, and it's always packed. Right? But there's a moment in the day that it's not packed, and there's a reason for it, and we're kind of going to get to see when that happens. The Triumphal Arch. Don't do that.
Yeah. Right. You look at the people at the top, and you can get an idea of the scale of art.
There you go. That's really good. Actually, if you can go inside, don't wear shorts or flip-flops because they won't allow you in. But if you go inside, actually the building is very nicely laid out. We're going to look at this building. It's a new hotel. We'll talk about whether it works or it doesn't work. We'll have a little discussion in the city. But Champs-Élysées is right there on that. And, yeah, these are the windows right here of the rooms. Right, these ones right here. They look like TVs almost, right? Yeah. But no, these are the windows. So the floor plates are actually not where they're supposed to be. And whether you like the building or you don't, it's kind of a very trippy building. So we'll take a look at it. What I like about the most is like these are supposed to be like these Juliet balconies, but it's even that's concrete. La Défense, we're going to go there and see the space. This is now the place where these tall buildings were put. Right after they decided that no more tall buildings after Montparnasse, we're going to be building the city. This was built, and we're going to go here and see this. These are these great steps. We can talk about how this terminates the axis of the Champs-Élysées, or it doesn't. Depending who you ask. There's two kind of versions of it. And then that building right there is this building right here that you see. And you get to walk around and see the space, right? This is a huge public space that goes all around it. And you can see down and you'll see the Grand Arch and you'll see even the Tuileries Gardens. If you go up here, right, you're going to see all the way down to the Louvre. That's how straight that street is. Right? And that's one of the greatest kind of experiences that you can have. So this is kind of the Grand Arch. So that's the Champs-Élysées kind of street that goes all the way down to the Louvre. We'll get to take a look at this space and how it works. I'm also excited to go to this building, the Louis Vuitton Foundation. It's being called after Gary's Bilbao Museum. This is being called one of his best pieces of work because it's, and I think it is. Right? And the video that I showed yesterday at the very beginning of the presentation was this building getting built. So it's a great space. It has a great public space in front of you. Take a look at it.
So, yeah, just to make a point, you'll see one of the first buildings that Gary did in this deconstructed style, and this is the latest that he's done. So
The
you
Cinematheque.
can see where the career is going.
Yeah. And although there's a lot of similarities, like you really don't see the differences until you actually experience the space. That's the one thing that it's about these buildings. It's like the spaces are so different. It might look similar, but the spaces are completely different. This is a great church right outside the city. This is really tall. That's the height of the door. So imagine this kind of keeps going up all the way through, and it's all kind of this prefab or poured place complete. Now, the Loire Valley, it's really exciting. The Loire Valley is one of the most beautiful kind of places. It's very serene space, and we're going to take a private charter bus into here. And this is kind of the river valley, right, of France. You have places like the Chateau de Blois, which we're going to get to see, and you've studied these steps right there, the double helix steps that happens inside. And then the Chenonceau also. This is kind of a later addition, but it's the only bridge during World War II that connected Nazi-occupied France and free France, right? And this wasn't used like a house at that point. It was used just as a bridge because that was the only place that people could actually walk through. But we're going to get to see this. The gardens are really nice, and it's surrounded by this green, just pure green around it. It's an incredible place. And then we're going to go here so that we can take a look at some of Leonardo da Vinci's kind of inventions and how they worked. Right? They've been reproduced, which is kind of neat to see. It's the only place that has them. And then, of course,
Just a word about this. Francis I brought Leonardo da Vinci to France because he had been war campaigning in Italy, and convinced Da Vinci to return to him in France. So this is how the Renaissance really begins in France, with Francis I importing these Italians. So one of them was, of course, Da Vinci, and this is where he lived and he died. So he died in France, and they've constructed, those great drawings that Da Vinci did that were theoretical at the time, and they constructed those and placed them through the chateau as a memorial to his work here. But it's a fascinating place to be. The chateau is Munich, but
I mean, the artifacts are really nice. Like the Da Vinci's artifacts are nice because you've seen the drawing, right? Like you've seen the helicopter, right? Like that great drawing, and it's like, and then you get to see it live. It's like, how did he think this was going to work? That's the first question you ask, and then you actually see the scale of it and the ingenuity. It's kind of an impressive thing to see. So it's kind of an exciting thing. Chateau de Chambord, we'll have a kind of walk around the place. It has some incredible gardens and canals and kind of this water edge condition that we're going to take a look, because it's a man-made water edge, right? And although our site is not necessarily on a water edge, when you go into kind of the city, you're going to see how during kind of this high Gothic period, they used the water as a way to access not only kind of have protection, but also as an access to the chateaus. And that's kind of something that that we're going to let you look at. And you are going to be able to go all the way up here, and you can take a picture just surrounded by all these kind of turrets in there. And then Chartres Cathedral, the largest Gothic cathedral built. If you're not afraid of heights, which I am, so I don't do this, you can go all the way up here. Right? The first time I went up here, I literally stood back and I just did this all the time. Right? Because I can't go, no. It just scares the crap out of me. So you don't, if you want to, you can go up there, and it's kind of a fun 300 plus steps, maybe. But, it's a great building to see, and you're going to start comparing this to Notre Dame, and then you're going to see how tiny Notre Dame is. Notre Dame is kind of like...
Notre Dame introduced the flying buttress, and you saw that interior, it still has those huge piers. When you go into Chartres, the bishop, after having been to the consecration of Notre Dame, brought the idea of the flying buttress back to his, and they started rebuilding this, which is a Romanesque church. The interior, they've almost finished cleaning it, so you'll see it as it was, and that's been highly controversial because it's very, very clean now.
Yeah.
And it's lost that patina of time. But the other thing that's important are the windows, which are the medieval glass. During World War II, all of the glass was taken out of this cathedral and stored in case of bombs. And so it's all been replaced. There are a lot of reasons that this place is important.
And actually, if you decide to go up here, there's incredible views of like these areas of the buttresses and the big piers down here. That it's nice to see. Right? You see them in books and you study them, but these are these huge things. Right? Like a person is just like about that high right there. And of course, we're going to be staying in our own chateau, 13-acre chateau. This is the back porch. We'll have a picnic kind of space area here. We're going to be staying in all kind of the second floor and even the third rafter almost area. Yeah, they're very nice rooms. This is the main entrance right here. And you're surrounded by green space all around it. And you can go and explore the great kind of space that this place has. It also has this almost teepees and tree houses that you can go and see and explore. Yes, Mr. Piggy here, he's the house pet. You'll see him. He'll be the one that, right, it's like just walking around. He usually stays on the steps of one of the sites, like right here. Yeah, he's always laying there. We're also going to take day trips, like I mentioned. Villa Vicomte. You asked me, this is perhaps one of the best chateaus ever built. Right? It's not as large as Versailles or Chambord, things like that, but really the gardens are incredible. It's now it's in private hands, so that's why it's kind of nicely kept. But just the procession of the space and kind of the interior space and how it looks into the gardens. It's great. And if you go to the very back, you can go up the hill. Right? And we're going to get to see how, it doesn't look that way, but this chateau actually has a slight incline and then it goes back up. Just the setting of the place is incredible. My favorite building, it's like every time I go here, it's just we're going to get to see Villa Savoye and how it actually. Now it's changed a little bit. The whole, they build more stuff right across the window right here, so you'll get to see not just the green that the Corps envisioned, but the marche that you actually take to the building that you go up, and then this window actually frames the clouds. Right? When you get to see that, it's kind of this incredible thing, right? Incredible feeling. And again, you're going to get to see all the 5 points and how he did them, and it depends. This is a great courtyard. We'll probably take a great picture, group picture in here. And it depends, but sometimes they do it and sometimes they don't. He has the furniture, some of his furniture inside the space, and you get to see that. Sometimes he has some more contemporary pieces of furniture that artists build. But really, it's a great space to experience, and it's such an iconic building that this is something that I want to see live. And you do, and also when we're in Paris, we're going to get to see again like Maison Ancien and the buildings in La Cité. Right, we're going to get to see a lot of these core buildings that you've studied before. And we're going to get, one thing about this building that I'm going to do this year in the studio is really look at how it flows and kind of its part. Even if it's not used necessarily in the project, I really want you to almost do a quick diagram of how you walk through the space. And I'm thinking about different methods of doing that. And then I'm trying to compile this almost 3D scanning video aspect of this building. I'm intrigued to see how we can, how differently we can interpret what we saw. So I kind of want to look at what we can do with this, with looking at the lesson board.
And again, only in Paris will you see one of Corb's first buildings, Maison Ancien, which is just about 4 blocks away from you. And then the Fondation Corbusier, it was also there. It was 2 houses that he designed for his brother-in-law, which is now a museum, and we can see that one, the Maison Générale. And then you can see again this architectural progression and the Salvation Army building. And then this one that doesn't have a name, nobody really even knows about. It's right off of the periphery. You can remember that one. Yeah. So you can see Corb from here to here.
Yeah. And it's just, and you get to actually, the thing about it is like Corb was one of those architects that actually built and designed these buildings, right? So you get to see how he experienced and how he transformed his buildings as he went through. Versailles, of course we're going to go to Versailles. This is kind of the iconic picture. Sometimes you have these sculptures here in the ponds. You'll walk through the whole chateau, and of course this is the Hall of Mirrors, right? Louis' bedroom was right behind it, right there, these doors. The great thing about Versailles that it has, again, these installations of contemporary art that juxtapose this kind of very ornate, almost space. So we're going to get to see all that and see how it works. And of course the gardens. Right? The gardens are extensive. Right? You can go this way and it just keeps going to the Neptune fountain, or the other way to, somebody else's fountain, another Greek god fountain down the canal right here. And if you choose, I mean, this is if you actually, if you do good work and a lot of work, you get a weekend off. And you can actually go to the chateaus when they have the fountain show.
Oh yeah.
That's an inclusive. If you can actually go during the fountain show, it's this incredible thing because they program the fountains so you can go through every single fountain, and it's a show as you're walking through, and it has smoke, and then they put fireworks down the center aisle, and it's just this great show, and it's every weekend actually. It
begins, I think, in July.
Yeah.
Or maybe the last week in June.
I think it's the last week in June.
Leading up to the 14th of July, which is their Independence Day.
Right.
And on either side of here, there are what we call garden rooms. We'll look at what that means. And each one of them has a fountain in it. So this is what David's talking about. Is you move from exterior room to exterior room. And the French call it the son et lumière, the sound of light. And it happens at dusk, and then you're there till dark. And then you can catch the last train back to Paris. And your metro card works now. They've extended it. We can go.
Yeah, you can go
Almost everywhere.
Almost everywhere with the metro card. Again, this is the Orangerie. Actually, the chateau is behind right here, and you can actually walk through there. And then the Grand Canal can be Passage du Car, which is our station, our project, it's this great covered garden, covered passage, right? And I've kind of talked about a little bit what we're going to be doing, but it's going to be about fashion. I kind of want to get to the wiki page with a little bit more logistical information to it. But we're going to be looking at fashion, so we are going to be walking around the city, and you're going to get to see how much fashion actually influences Paris. Right? You go to Rue Rivoli, which is a street close to the Louvre, and you go to, there's all of the foundations are there, all this, you know, Yves Saint Laurent kind of foundation, and Louis Vuitton and things like that. But more than that, we're really going to get to see also how market and how commerce actually makes Paris run. Right? So this is why this kind of passage, right? And you can see all the kind of stores, and we're going to be looking at a couple of these in the city, and we're going to be activating the city with them. No, we're not necessarily going to be creating one of these, because why would we? We have this great one that we can use, but we're going to be creating a public space that activates this passage, right? So again, there's going to be a public space, there's going to be this idea of these corridors that connect them to this space, this place, and then these nodes. One of the nodes will be kind of this arch, Saint Denis, and then another one will be the station. Again, about this idea of connections with networks. I'm a huge fan of scanning the site and finding these space possibilities. Right? And the thing about it is that there's no real wrong or right answer. Right? They're both right and wrong. You just need to figure out how to juxtapose it with the city. And we're going to be making these connections and diagrams so we can understand what can happen within these spaces. We're going to be looking at traditional spaces and how they affect the city and how we can improve upon them, or how we can use some of their techniques in our work, and really looking at the layers. Paris is a palimpsest of architecture, right? So we're going to be looking at all of that when we experience it. And again, you're going to be in the city. I really want you to be in the city and exploring the city. Kind of like this image. And then the London excursion, which I'm really excited for. This is the first year we're doing the London excursion, and I don't have the images, but the best way I can put it is everything that you can think of London, we're going to get to see, right? We're going to see the Big Ben and Westminster Abbey, and also the modern stuff, the municipality, the new building, and also compare it to kind of more traditional buildings or kind of English Gothic buildings. The best part about it is that we're going to look at Paris. You're going to be in Paris for 6 weeks. You're going to see how Paris works, how it was kind of created by Haussmann, and then you're going to go to London and be like, whoa, what's happening here, right? And they're really a train ride away from each other, right?
2 hours.
Yeah.
We can. We haven't decided which route to take. The Eurostar goes directly from Paris into St. Pancras station in London. The other route is the one you see here, which is the Dover route. That takes a little longer because the train stops at the coast, and then you take a ferry across to Dover. The advantage to that is that we have a guided tour of Dover Castle, which was built by William the Conqueror in 1066, and added onto. So it takes a little longer, basically the whole day, and then you take the train from there into London. So we haven't decided. It's only $50 more to do the Dover route, and you get to see a lot more French countryside and English countryside. Yeah. So I think that's what we're going to do. Then in Paris, the itinerary that we'll have is a tour, a guided tour of Windsor Castle.
London.
Pardon?
London, the itinerary. You said Paris.
I'm sorry, thank you. The London will have a guided tour of Windsor and a guided tour of the Tower of London, which was also built by William the Conqueror. And we'll have an audio thing of Hampton Court. But other than that, the rest is me and David dragging you through London to every important site. And the experience of London is so incredibly different spatially. The first time I went to London was directly after Paris, and I remember being very disappointed because Paris seemed so organized compared to London, which is a commercial city.
Yeah.
And the reason Paris grew up as it did is because it had autocratic rulers who were able to condemn property and push boulevards through. London, even today, remains free market capital of the world, so it's constantly changing. It's an incredibly vibrant city.
It's very vibrant, and the best part about it, guys, is that they speak English.
Yeah.
So,
that's the other side.
don't get me wrong, in Paris, 90% of people speak English. You will be able to communicate, and by the time you get there, as long as you say hello and you know how to order food, you'll be good.
You'll feel like a resident.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that. Because you're going to be in the city the whole time.
Pretty much.
When you're not working.
Yep.
It's a fun, rigorous.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be different. We're going to be looking at kind of the classical architecture that the city has, but really the implementation of the project is going to be completely different. So that's kind of something to note because that's the fun part of it. Right? So if you go to the wiki, I already have some information on the wiki for all of you to look at. Kind of the itinerary, it's right there, what we're going to be doing. We're planning on having kind of this idea of midterm and final review so that you can pin up your work. And the midterm, hopefully we can get there. It's right before the Loire Valley, so that when we go to the Loire Valley, you're going to be looking at kind of also a bit documenting the valley, but it's almost kind of you can get to experience the place.
It's more of a sketching tour. We
Right.
want you to really focus on your sketching abilities in the Loire. There are plenty of there as well as in Paris.
Yeah.
The Loire is going to be a breather.
A breathing room. So we have kind of that demarcation, and there's something fun. Should we tell them about the?
No.
No. Okay. It's a great surprise when we go to the Loire Valley. And then you kind of have the second half, which is most of the post-production and final reviews, and then we'll go to London from there on. So again, 6 weeks in a city, but it's really, you get to experience quite a bit of Paris and quite a bit of London as well. Yeah. And then the budget is down there as well. And then, of course, kind of all the things that includes in there, the Loire Valley, the pond, the Orsay, every kind of entrance where we go as kind of a group through ISA. ISA is our providers. You'll be kind of covered for that. So that's something to know. And again, I think the best part about Paris is the fact that you're going to get to experience all these layers. We're going to get to see the Cluny baths that are the Roman baths, and then you're going to get to see Gothic, and then you go, Notre Dame, and then you go to Saint-Chapelle, and it's high Gothic, and then you get to see things like lovely 1970s work, and then you get to compare it with the Corpse work. You start to see Gary's and Jean Nouvel's work. So there's a lot of architecture that you can see. There's a lot of architecture that you've studied. Most importantly, though, it's Paris. Again, it's one of these. It's the most visited capital in Europe, and if I'm not mistaken, it has regained its title of most visited capital in the world. We lost it, I think, last year to another European to another Asian capital, but it's regained it this year. And you're really going to get to experience the city, and it's one of those cities that it's easy to learn. So you're not really looking how to get around, but really looking of what to do. right? And you're gonna get to really, really experience that. And we've been there quite a few times. Dr. Alice has been there quite a few times. I've been there quite a few times. So if for some reason you want to go somewhere, more than likely is that we know how to guide you through it. And if not, we'll get lost with you in a sense.
I've done this program 8 years, and every year I think, we forgot to go here or here. There's so much, in 8 years of some study abroad, there's still stuff that I haven't seen and I want to see,
Yeah.
or I want to take the students to because I've seen it. So it's an incredible city. I did, I majored in French as an undergrad, and I did a study abroad in the summer of my junior year. And so I was already predisposed to liking French. And that study abroad just cemented it. And then I was lucky enough to have, when I was doing my PhD, I had friends whose research was modern European, so they had archival work to do in Paris, and they got fellowships to go to Paris. So 4 summers I went to visit friends who were studying in Paris. And slept on their sofas and floors. And then I went back several times on my own before I started teaching study abroad. So I'm pretty familiar with Paris, and I'm still captivated by it.
Also, Paris, the food in Paris, it's one of my favorite type. Because Parisian, no matter what restaurant you go, and yes, there's expensive restaurants in Paris, like in every other city, but there's kind of affordable places. But every dish that you get is really well presented. Like it's not like Italian food is a bit more homemade, so it's a bit more like good sloppy. But Paris is like refined. Like everything on the plate, it's like nicely placed. You know, even if it's just like a takeout,
The French still
Heroes
know
are-
how to dine.
Yeah. And it's an experience. We're going to go, both the welcome dinner and the farewell dinner will be great for that. And you're going to get to experience really kind of this extensive periods of meals and the French take. And because eating in Paris is not just for the sake of eating, but really for the sake of conversing and for the sake of catching up. And really it's about a social aspect to it. And that's also going to be a little bit of a part of what we're going to be doing in our project is how can we incorporate a cafe into our project, right? And because cafes are so important in Paris, not because they're just these places that you go and get a coffee. Really, cafes in Paris are really this place of socializing. And really, they're the triggers that society uses to activate the city, right? I mean, we're going to get to see, there's this idea of you don't eat outside, you have to eat inside. Outside is only for coffee sometimes, right? And so there's always kind of this rigidity to the city that helps to understand the city, but we're there again a bit radical when I did work in urban. So how can we maybe push that forward? That's what we're going to be looking at. Do you have any questions, guys? Again, take a look at the wiki if you have anything, or email me or Dr. Ellis. We'll be happy to answer any questions. But again, I'm excited for Paris this year. It's going to be, like we said, we're writing a new chapter for Paris. We're changing a few things. But again, the one thing that I want you to be is I really want all of you to be in the city, and we're going to be working in the city quite a bit. We're going to be taking a lot of pictures. We're going to be diagramming quite a bit, both inside and in studio space. There's the studio. The way it works for the most part is we walk the city in the mornings. That's the best way, the best time to go out and see the city and explore the city. And after lunch, we go back and have studio, right? And we work and we kind of go through that process. And then we'll adjust our schedule as the studio progresses, of course. And also we'll adjust if there's a consensus for most of you, like we want to go and see this place today or something like that, we can kind of make those adjustments as we go. But again, I'm excited for Paris this year.
Yeah, I want to stress every day you're in the city.
Yeah.
We're going someplace in the city. It may be both morning and afternoon. So you may be having lunch outside, but we usually go to places that are sandwich they have street food as well. But you're not going to be sitting in the studio.
No.
But you're going to be doing a lot of work when you get back in the evening. But it's not like you won't have seen the city
No.
or explored it. And there'll be time for you to do that on your own as well. The other thing is that this year we are changing it up, and David's leading this change as far as the methodology to it. In the past, as you can see over here, what we did was build on the classical tradition of Paris. And so we used the classical principles of design. These are not antithetical to the design that you're doing in your studios now, but they are very different. With David, we're going to do more of the kind of urban analysis that Stan Allen does and Charles Walcott does. So the diagrams that you saw are the kinds of diagrams that we'll be doing, and the finished product will be very different. And I'm really looking forward to a new design paradigm for Paris. So this would be the first year that Paris is blown apart.
Yeah.
By the, or at least our study abroad of Paris is
There's going to be a lot of mapping.
really changed up.
I'm big on mapping and kind of field conditions, and that's kind of the two things. So, and to be able to do the field conditions, as the word says, you have to be in the city. Right? And it's about kind of that exploration that I wanted to experience. So, there's going to be a lot of work, and we're going to have good projects, and of course, the computer is going to be key when we're in Paris. So we're going to be doing a lot of work that way.
So if you have any questions, email us or
Let us
stop
know.
us in the hallway or come see us.
All right.
Vive la France!
Thank you guys.
Au revoir.